Hello one, hello all, it is the gothiest ghost of them all, Caspa in the flesh, and it's time for a review of Lemon Twigs, Everything Harmony. Lemon Twigs are a singer-songwriter duo, and this is their latest release, consisting of two brothers, Brian and Michael Diadario. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. I'm a man, I make mistakes. They are not only singer-songwriters, but also multi-instrumentalists. They're more than a pretty face. And their chops have definitely stepped up since their debut, since the sophomore, since the third album. They've grown since. Now, to be honest with you, I've never been a huge fan of the Lemon Twigs up until this point. I felt like a lot of their stuff was a little too theater kid, goofy shit, and there's only so much goofy theater kid shit I could take. And I do love theatrics, I do love the theatrical elements of music, be it spelling, be it Bjork, be it David Bowie, which they did pull from David Bowie in the beginning, but now I feel they're pulling more from the Beatles here. They're pulling more from Simon and Garfunkel. They're pulling more from maybe a little Joni Mitchell, Beach Boys, and a little Kanye too. Bear with me on that one. Yeah, it was just too derivative for me to take it serious. Theatrics are still here, but it's more in a grim tone. Like, this is more of a mature album for sure. Like, whenever they're putting together a song, they are structuring it well. They are bringing together a strong opener and mostly a strong finish. They have released bangers on bangers leading up to this album. And don't get me wrong, I have enjoyed their singles before with the other albums, but whenever I listened to it, I was just disappointed. But now the disappointment is not here at all. This is not a mistake. This is not a fluke. This is not a drill. This album is fire. Effervescent vocals on, like, In My Head. In my head, in my head. Any Time of Day has, like, these gorgeous vocal leads, these beautiful harmonies. The corner of my eye has, like, these dreamy vibraphones, beautifully plucked strings, choral vocals in unison, or the heartwarming Any Time of Day. That is a little grim in tone, but definitely beautiful on the ear with, like, these gorgeous leads, beautiful harmonies that just make me feel like I'm spinning all my glory at, like, the start of a popular 70s show. Not a too overpriced 70s show, whenever I hear it. Like, it's thematic. And with those piano phrases, they can make it right any time of day. And I will say too, like, lyrically, they are definitely in their bag here. This is probably their best written album by far. And this album is 13 tracks, 11 minutes shy of an hour, and we're getting elements of folk, we're getting elements of jangle pop, we're getting elements of Baroque pop on here. And I would say, like, this album definitely approaches dark topics like death, depression, breakup, and ghosts. I would say some points, like, even though, like, they are at, like, their darkest, there are some tracks where they add a little cheekiness to the mix, like on Ghost Run Free, that has, like, these jangle pop, rocky type feels. I love the production on here. It starts off with, like, these sparkling reverb guitars, and I love the fun-loving and playful vocals on here. The reason why I find it cheeky is because the lyrics kind of make you feel like they're being watched by, like, this secret admirer and, like, admired from afar, but no, it's a ghost. I just love the exuberant vocals here, the uplifting instrumentation, but it makes you feel, like, so, like, even though it's a little spooky, it's still joyous. And definitely a stroke of genius here. Even though this is vintage, it still comes off as, like, an old diamond in the rough that was just brought to now. And the melancholic opener with Winter Comes Around with these lyrics about arrival and departure in life, pretty much a grim vintage circle of life song, honestly. The passionate vocals underneath the ascending keys is absolutely beautiful. I love the burst of like these gigantic vocals with these warm like gospel chords. Like there's sorrow, there's sadness. Through that sorrow and sadness, like you find beauty. Like that is one thing about this album. Like even though there's disarray here or dismay here, you're still getting something beautiful out of it. You're still getting something heartwarming about this. Now, I don't really know if there's a story here per se. Like, I'm not really getting a story, but there's definitely a theme here. It's just like melodic poems set to heartfelt, nostalgic bliss, dealing in the darkest of emotions. Like, Every Day is the Worst Day of My Life has somber guitar strumming, harrowing vocal leads. I love the accompaniment of these beautiful horns. And the way the strumming is played is coalescing with the plucking very well, if you're paying attention to that. Because I was. Alongside these angelic harmonies, it's truly awe-inspiring. It's amazing how like one hook and instrumentation could provide like so much emotion here. And Born to Be Lonely is like the heart-wrenching. Like, a lot of these songs are heart-wrenching, but this is very heart-wrenching. It has these gorgeous mandolin runs in the hook. Really brings out the Italian Bambino in me. It's the ultimate Italian sad boy ballad, for sure. There are tracks on here that, like I said before, have great finishes, especially on Happens to a Heart, which is probably the most epic, most gripping and powerful cut that they've ever done, with these soaring melodies, defiant vocals, larger than life string sections. Like, it's so dramatic. Like, I feel like I've just gone on this journey and I've just reached my destination and I am just in total triumph. Or I could just be going through anguish and pain and it just continues. I'm just cycling in this mantra of woe. It's really up to the listener here, but there's definitely a very compelling element to this that I can't get enough of. And the self-titled has like these raw hand percussions, soaring vocals, with these luscious beds of strings. And it just progresses as the track goes on. That's one thing I love. I love a good build. I love grooves. This has that. This does not fall short of that. And as I mentioned of Kanye earlier, it kind of reminds me of Kanye's 808s and Heartbreaks, except well-crafted. Not to say 808s is trash, but it's more raw here. The hand percussions and string accompaniment, you know what I mean. And the closer is so beautiful and chilling with like these endearing, grim lullaby-like hooks on here. Dealing and passing on, but accepting it. Like, it's saddening, but yet it's hopeful at the same time. It's like a sense of liberty, like a comforting liberty. But the layered vocals, the harmonies definitely scream Beach Boys here in a very tasteful way. And the lyrics have such like a haunting but like beautiful feel to it. The instrumentation is haunting but yet beautiful. And definitely their best written song, in my opinion. Like, I would say the only gripes here are the mixing issues or sometimes amateurish instrumentation. But other than that, I think this album's great. I mean, if I could point out some examples, like, I think Still Not Enough is a great tune at its core, but the way the strings kind of get swallowed up a bit by the mix is definitely ruins the vibe, especially when this is like such a tumultuous, such a important subject matter. Like, you want it to be 100%. What Were You Doing? I mean, again, great tune at its core, but when it goes into the guitar solo, some of the strings are kind of sour on there. Like, definitely a few sour notes on there, like definitely a few hiccups. But yeah, overall, I think this is a very sweet album. I think this is a lovely album, but yet dark, but not too dark. It's light, but not too light. It's in a macabre way, it's a fun listen, if that makes sense. The hooks are exciting. I think When it's sad, it's sad. When it uplifts, it uplifts. And it's definitely just some very sweet, dark, nostalgic ear candy. With exhilarating guitar performances, awe-inspiring melodies, great songwriting, I'm feeling the blackest of 4 out of 5 hearts on this one. But if you've given this a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Lemon Twigs, Everything Harmony, till we meet again.